Okay, good morning class. So at this point you guys had some homework. The homework was exercise 2.10 on page 39. You had to do the remaining sums of that exercise. Not so? Yes. Right. Any problems you had with numbers 1 to 12? Or 13? 1 to 13? We've done 13 yesterday. No? Any other problems, people? No problems. You do the homework? Yes. No problem. Yes? If the question says solve the following equation by completing the square, that is no calculator. But if it says to 2 decimal places, how are you going to do that without the calculator? You understand? Anything else? So you guys fine with this, no? There's 5 marks in your exam. So don't be caught with your, how the saying go? Pens down, no? Don't be caught with your pens down. Is that how the saying go? No? Okay, that's a bad saying then. Right. Solving quadratic equations by using quadratic formula. So what I'm going to do is, just cut this here quickly. That's your next heading. And it's going to make your life so much easier now. For those of you who struggles with factorization, okay? Yay! You like it, yes. Everybody likes it. Why? Because you don't have to use a trinomial. You can't use it for everything, don't lie. Yeah, then you must say every quadratic equation. So now everybody's thinking you can use it anyway. Shopping, whatever. No. Okay, we are told that all quadratic equations can be written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So far we've seen that if we cannot solve the quadratic equation by factorization, we can use a method of completing the square to determine the solution. Not so? That's what we did in yesterday's lesson. However, it's also possible to find the solution of the quadratic equation using quadratic formula, or using a formula that is a quick and easy to use. This formula is derived below by completing the square. So I'm going to derive the quadratic formula for you. I haven't seen them asked in the previous syllabus. They asked you to prove this formula in the high grade syllabus. But for you guys, it is not examinable. Okay, but I'm going to show you how we actually derive that formula. Okay. So the formula is derived from the standard form of a quadratic equation, which is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So what you did in yesterday's lesson or homework, we're going to complete the square on this given thing here. Alright, so what do we do first in completing of the square? What do we do first? We take out the? We take out a as a common factor. Not so. So we take out a, what do we left with? X squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. You all agree with that? Okay. So the question is, what must be added to complete the square with? What must be added to complete the square? How do we work out that number? It's going to be b times the half squared. So what is b in this case? B over a. Not so? So that would simply be b over a times a half, and it must be squared, which is b over 2a squared. Not so? It will be b over 2a squared, which is b squared over 4a squared. You all understand? So what do we do now? You should see a perfect square trinomial. You all see a perfect square trinomial. So we got a into x plus b over 2a all squared. Now this part here, I'm going to do it on the side here. That can be written as minus b squared over 4a squared plus c over a. What's your LCM here? 4a squared. Not so. So this here must be multiplied by what? 1. So that's going to give you negative b squared. And then multiply this by 4a. That's going to give you plus 4ac. Not so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factorize this negative. So the negative lies here. Not so. You factorize the negative, negative comes out. So what am I left with? B squared minus 4ac. You all okay with that? You all accept? You all understand? Do it again? Yes? Okay. I'm just taking this part out here and I'm simplifying that. Otherwise it's going to take me 3 steps to write down the thing. That's why I'm taking it out. Okay? So I'd say minus b squared over 4a squared plus c over a. What's my LCM here? 4a squared. So 4a squared times 1 will give you 4a squared, so that times 1, so it's negative b squared. A times what is 4a squared? 4a. So it's going to be plus 4c. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out negative as a common factor. So it's negative into b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. And this here I can write there next to it. Not so. Are you guys okay with that? So I'm going to replace, yes?
Isn't it negative right with the b squared? Like, why?
I'm taking it out as a common factor.
Oh.
Yeah. Any other confusion? So in other words, this can be replaced with negative. Let's take this off here. Negative 4a squared. On top I'm left with b squared minus 4ac. Okay. What's the next step we normally do? Sorry? Multiply the a in. Let's multiply the a in. What do we get? A into x plus b over 2a squared minus, now if I take b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared and I multiply this by a over 1, what's going to happen? That a cancels one of those a's. Not so? And it leaves you with what? b squared minus 4ac over 4. You all agree with that? So it's going to be b squared minus 4ac over 4a is equal to 0. Now what? Sorry? Take the fraction over the equal sign. So it gives us now a into x plus b over 2a equals b squared minus 4ac over 4. Now what do we do? Sorry? Divided by a, yes? What's wrong? But here? Yes, absolutely. No mistake, I didn't write the square there. So what are we going to do at this point? Divide by a both sides. So that's going to give you x plus b over 2a squared equals b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. How do I get 4a squared? Is when I take this here, which is b squared minus 4ac over 4a, is being divided by a, which is same as b squared minus 4ac over 4a times is reciprocal, which is 1 over a, which is b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Can you see that, people? Now what do we do? Square root both sides. If I introduce square root, what must I never get? Plus minus. That's going to take it. That's the name away there. Square root. Introduce square root. It's plus minus. So therefore, x plus b over 2a equals plus minus. Just take this down a bit. Plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over, what's the square root of 4a squared? 2. You see the denominators are the same here. You can bring this over on the same base, with the same denominator. Therefore x is equal to minus b, as we're taking that over the equal sign becomes negative, plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2. And that is the quadratic formula. Okay. If in the past, to prove this was 5 marks. Okay. But as I said, it's not asked anymore. And this I can ask it to you guys in the exam. For 5 marks. Sorry? There's a bonus question. Okay, we'll see. Okay. So now we're going to use this quadratic formula in solving trinomials. So when do we use this quadratic formula? If the trinomial cannot factorize into normal rational factors that we normally work with. Okay? The trinomial doesn't factorize into normal factors. Okay? But it could be used even if the factors are rational. If you don't know when to put a minus or a plus or how to find the factors for a trinomial, You can use this formula all the time. Okay? So we're going to look at example 1 on page 40. Example 1 on page 40. Example 1, page 40. We are told that solve for x squared, 2x squared minus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay. So, looking at it in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, the coefficient of x squared is your a value. So what is your a value in this case? Firstly, when we draw these values from the formula, it must firstly be in standard form. So make a note there. The equation must be in standard form first. Or make the equation in standard form first. So put the equation in standard form. If it's not in standard form, you must write it in standard form. Not so. So, the coefficient of x squared is a. With a number in front of x squared is a. Okay, so there you can make a second note. The coefficient of x squared is a. The coefficient of b squared, the coefficient of x is b, and the constant term is c. So again, the coefficient of x squared is a, the coefficient of x is b, and the constant term is c. So what is your coefficient of x squared here? The number in front of x squared. So your a value is 2. What is our b value here? Negative 3. What's your c value? Negative 4. Okay. What is the formula? The quadratic formula. It's going to be x is equal to minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac is over 2. That's your quadratic formula. Every time you use a quadratic formula, you write it down. You will write it down so often that you will never forget. Okay? So write down that formula. Now what I want you to do, wherever you see an A, you put a 2. Wherever you see a B, you put negative 3. Wherever you see a C, you put negative 4. So do that quickly. Alright. So we have now x is equal to, what's your b value? -3. So now you will have negative, that is this negative here. Okay. Open brackets, -3. If you had written +3, no problem. Okay, you're doing the first step of simplifying already. Square root. What's your b value? -3 squared minus 4. What's your a value? 2. Your c value? -4 over 2, and your a value again? Okay, you guys understand? So we put that in the calculator. Okay, calculator a bit weird there. So you put this now in the calculator. Whoops. Everything's jumping around now. Right, let's go again. So we're going to get negative, open brackets, -3. Plus, we must now can't put plus minus. One of the two first, okay? Go plus the square root of. If we had got minus first, no problem. -3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is -4, over 2 times 2. That if the question was to leave your answer in third form, simplified third form, that would have been the answer. 3 plus the square root of 41 over 4. And I'm sure they wanted it, they didn't specify, so yes, that is the form they wanted. Okay. So that is simply 3 plus the square root of 41 over 4. If I'm going to put a minus in, see what happens. So we don't punch the whole thing in again. We press this back button here. We can move the cursor and we put negative in. That's going to give you the other solution. Right, you guys understand? Or I could have written both out. I could have said x plus the root of 41 over 4 or x minus the root of 41 over 4. It's the same. You guys understand?
Yes, sir.
Alright, let's do another one. It's easiest. Everything in maths is as easy as this. I think this is the hardest thing in maths you can do. So just imagine how easy everything else is in maths.
No, because graphs is all.
Sorry?
Graphs is all.
Graphs. But you weren't here when we did graphs?
I was.
You was.
I think I was.
You think. I know you weren't.
Actually, no, I wasn't. I was thinking super well.
I know.
Sir,
Yes?
in the
So what's going to happen now when I do graphs with my grade 10s? Then I will remind you. Are you still having problems with graphs?
No,
Not okay. So what I was going to suggest you do is when I do my graphs with the grade 10s, you can just watch those videos. Okay. Then you'll sort it out. Yes? Yes, I'm listening.
sir,
Here?
in the table graph, right?
Here? The cycle test.
Yes.
Yes?
Are you gonna tell us to use the formula, or is it up to us?
It's up to you.
Oh, so we won't have to use the long version anymore.
The completing the square.
Yes. So just
No.
need it.
You see, if the question says solve for x by completing the square, you don't have a choice. So if the question says by completing the square and you use this formula, out of 5 marks you get nothing.
So what must the
It will say solve for x in the equation 3x into x minus 1 is equal to 2 into 2x plus by completing the square. There you must use completing the square. If you use anything else, you're going to lose the mark. Everywhere else, you can use the formula. You understand? Pleasure. Anybody else want to make us confused? No? People, the question 2, example 2 says, was it Mzikelo? No? Mzikelo? Example? Why you look so confused? Did I say it wrong? Yes. was the accent wrong. Accent. Right. Jy maar heel accent. Right. Let's do this. What do we do first? Well, what was the note I gave you earlier on? Put in, is this in standard form? No. How do I get it in standard form? Right. Do your thing quickly. Okay. Multiply it out. You finish? Yes? Right, so let's multiply in. We get 3x squared minus 3x equals 4x plus 2. Now what do we do?
Take the base.
Sorry?
Take the
4x over and the 2 over. So it's going to be 3x squared minus 3x minus 4x is negative 7x. Minus 2 is equal to 0. Is that now in standard form?
Yes.
Yes. Of ax squared plus bx plus c. What's your a value? 3. What's your b value? Negative 7. What's my c value? So what's the formula again? X is equal to negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. You all agree with that? So do you think? Right. So we got x equals, what's your b value? Negative 7. So it's negative into negative 7 plus minus the square root of negative 7 squared minus 4. What's your a value? 3. What's your c value? Negative 2. And this is all over 2, and your A value is? Again, they didn't specify if it was written to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to leave my answer in simplified circle. So let's go with that. So it's negative, open brackets, negative 7 plus the square root of negative 7, must be in a bracket, no? Negative 7 squared, minus 4 times A times C, which is negative 2, over 2 times 3. It's going to give you 7 plus the square root of 73 over 6. What do you think is, if they ask you to do decimal places, did I press standard? Sorry? Hang on. What did you get?
So I have 25.
Sorry?
I have 25.
25. The square root of 25?
Yes.
Okay. Is that still on your calculator?
No, so I
Okay, punch it in again. If you get that answer again, you bring it to me and I'll check where you're going. Okay? What will happen if I put a minus in here? Of course, there's a negative then at the bottom. Not so? So there's going to be plus minus then. Whoops. Alright, you guys understand?
Yes.
Okay, we'll do another one. I know that was coming. Example 3. Also on page 41. You got the right answer now. Good. Okay. Sign, okay. Right, here we go. Listen. Example 3 on page 41. The question says solve for x without using a calculator and write your answer in simplified surd form. So now it's without a calculator and in simplified surd form. So we're going to use the quadratic formula still. But I'll show you what the difference is, okay? That was unnecessary to ask you without the... But it's fine. Don't get upset. But let's look at that quickly, okay? Write it down. What's the first step we need to do there? Sorry? Factorize. And then? LCM, yes. Nice. And then? Why are you complaining? If I tell you that sum is worth 9 marks. Yes, definitely. So what did you say the first thing is? Factorize the denominator. Let's go. It's going to be x into x minus 2, x plus 1. So you still need to know some factorization, okay? The easy ones. Plus, what's going to happen here? X plus 2, x minus 2. Difference of 2 squares. Plus, again trinomial. 1 over x plus 2, x plus 1 equals 0. What is my LCM here?
X plus
X minus 2, X plus 1. We always sort out from the first one. Eh? We got X minus 2, so it's just X plus 2. I got X plus 2 and I got X plus 1. What's my restriction? For which values can X never be equal to? X can never be equal to 2 coming from the first one. X cannot be equal to negative 1 coming from the second one. Okay. You all agree with that?
Yes.
So we ask ourselves, what must the first denominator be multiplied by? Multiplied by X plus 2. Okay? So we got X into X plus 2. I can drop the denominator only in an equation. Plus, what must this denominator be multiplied by? X plus 1. So it's 1 into X plus 1. What must this denominator be multiplied by? X minus 2. So it's 1 into X minus 2. And 0 into the whole LCM. It is X plus 2, X minus 2, X plus 1. Do we have to write that down? No, so we know it's going to come to 0 anyway. That's not to use all the income. Okay. Now what do we do? So now do you think? Huh? Sort this out? Has finished?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So that's going to give us x squared plus x plus 1 plus x minus 2 is equal to 0. Is that in standard form? No. So it's going to be x squared, 2x plus x is going to give you 4x, 1 minus 2. Negative 1 is equal to 0. Okay. So what's my a value? 1. You all agree with that? So a is equal to 1. Your b is equal to? And your c is equal to? Negative 1. So what's my formula? Example 3. X is equal to? Minus, yes. X is equal to? Minus b plus minus the square root of? Minus 4ac over? Do your substitution quickly. Just don't use a calculator at the end. Guys, finish? Some of you, okay? Right, so what do we get?
8.
You're doing the substitution now, okay? So x is equal to negative 4 plus minus the square root of 4 squared minus 4 times negative 1 over 2 times 1. You all agree with that? No calculator, no? So x is equal to minus 4 plus minus. Now 4 squared is 16. Okay? Negative 4 times negative 1? Positive 4. In other words, that would be the square root of 20 over 2. Not so? Now looking at the square root of 20. Is there a perfect square that goes into 20? 4. So x is equal to negative 4 plus minus the square root of 4 times 5 over 2. What's the square root of 4? 2. So it's negative 4 plus minus 2 root 5 over 2. So now we put each one of its own. Not so? So we got negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 plus minus 2 root 5 over 2 is root 5. There we go, without the use of a calculator. Okay. Any confusion? No. Alright, so what I would like you guys to do now, you go to exercise 2.11. Exercise 2.11, you do the first column for me, okay? Hopefully before we leave we can answer some of these questions. Is it going to go quick? I'm sure. First column, no? I'll pause the video at this point. Right, so we're going to do the first three quickly. So number 1. So my A value is 2, my B value is negative 5, and my C value is 1. Okay. Formula is x is equal to minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So we say x is equal to minus 5 plus minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4. Your a value is 2 and your c value is 1 over 2 and your a value is 2. You put that in the calculator. Is negative, open brackets, negative 5 plus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4a times c over 2a. So that is going to be, is that correct? So it's 5 plus minus the square root of 17 over 4. You all okay with that? Alright, let's look at number 4. So what's my a value in number 4? 1. My b value? Negative 2. And your c is negative 1. Okay? So that's going to be x is equal to minus b, so it's negative minus 2, plus minus the square root of negative 2 squared minus 4. Your a value is 1, and your c value is negative 1 over 2, my a value is 1. Again, punch this in the formula, in the calculator, sorry. The sum is worth 4 marks in your exam. Sometimes 5, sometimes 3, okay? I give 3. Because I want to ask you so many other questions when you understand. 4 times 8 times negative 1. I'm just joking, huh? I give 4. 2 times 1. Is that correct? Who else got that answer? 1 plus root 2. So 1 plus minus root 2. So any confusion there? No? Number 7. Number 7, your a value is 3, your b value is negative 3, and your c value is negative 2. Minus x is equal to minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Let's do the substitution. So it's going to be negative 3 times negative. Not so that negative is this negative. Plus minus the square root of negative 3 squared. A common made error is when learners leave this negative out, or they don't put that in a bracket. One of the two, no? Minus 4, your a value is 3, and your c value is negative 2 over 2 times 3. So x is equal to, you got negative, oops, open brackets, negative 3, close brackets, plus the square root of negative 3 squared minus 4 times a times c, which is negative 2, over 2 times 3. Is that correct? So x is equal to 3 plus minus the square root of 33 over 6. If I had to replace that plus with a minus, you see that's evident. Okay. People, you guys understand? If the question was to write it in 2 decimal places, the answer would have been negative 0.46, and if it was plus, it would have been 1.46. Okay. For homework, I would like you guys to complete this exercise. Whichever sums was not completed, it's fairly simple. It's a very, very important lesson for a very, very important homework exercise for tomorrow's lesson, which is based on this understanding of what's happening. People, enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon, class.